How many of you like to play with a tape measure? Huh? I love it. Just watch this. You ever played with your dad's tape measure? Huh? I remember my dad and my uncle used to build homes from the footers to putting the roof on them to finishing them inside. And some of you probably know what I'm talking about. The old carpenter's rulers, you know, the ones that they kept down here in this pouch that you buy these carpenter pants, you know, that folded up. And if you took them like this, you could go like an accordion. You know what I mean? I don't know how many of my dads I broke, you know, but I got in trouble when I break one of them. You know, even though you told me, now don't go play with my rulers. You know, you get them like this, and next thing you break them. You know, I know something about measuring. I've been doing it for the last 3 or 4 months with some regularity as we've been remodeling the house over on Sandy Avenue. We started out, Seth and I, measuring and cutting drywall. We put a new floor down in the kitchen, which is a pretty good-sized kitchen with a lot of measuring and cutting floor. You know, I found out something in measuring that I had forgotten. If you measure incorrectly and you cut it too long, you're okay. But if you measure it incorrectly and you cut it too short, you're in trouble. I was in trouble more than once with the remodel over there at the house. Okay? Just to let you know. So we measured, Bob and Steve and Buddy came over and we set cabinets, we measured leveled cabinets. But it came to measuring the countertops. Especially the 11-foot countertop that the kitchen sink, sat down in. 11 feet from one end of it to the other, a little over 11 feet. And I knew I was in trouble with my measuring. Because once you cut out the hole for the sink to set in, it had better be right. Or you've ruined a whole 11 feet of countertop. I didn't trust my measuring. I didn't trust my measuring. So I got Buddy to do it. And Buddy, I don't know whether Steve was over there that day, but I think Steve may have been. I know Bob was. Buddy measured it once. He measured it twice. He measured it 3 times. He said, that's it. Took me over to St. Clairsville because I didn't know where this guy was out in the country that did the countertops. We gave him the measurements, got in the van, started home. Buddy says, boy, I hope those measurements were right. You know, that gave me a lot of confidence, you know. Boy, but he was telling it particularly to Dawn, you know. Boy, I hope this. Thankfully, we got the countertops in. They fit. The sink's where it's supposed to be. It's not off to here or down here or whatever. But you know something? There's a lot of things that can't be measured. A lot of things. There is no ruler to measure tenderness or affection. You can't calibrate kindness. There's no square footage for creativity, for love, or for the depth of a human heart. If there was a measure for love, that would be the end of country music. It would be the end of skywriting over baseball fields, boxes of chocolates, valentines, and bouquets of roses. You would simply give your loved one a printout or spreadsheet of how much you loved them. It would be the end of romantic poetry and love sonnets. And it would be a disaster. I can see me giving Donna a spreadsheet on how much I love her. Oh. How do you want to think about it? In any case, the prophet Samuel was in need of some sort of a measuring device when the Lord sent him to the household of Jesse to anoint Israel's next king from Jesse's 8 sons. A king to replace Saul, with whom God wasn't pleased. And Samuel, he seems to think that height and good looks, instead of character, which is hard to measure, is what he's looking for when assessing the candidates for the future king of Israel. So Samuel's looking for the new king. And he has some impressive candidates. But he could not be sure he was taking a good measurement of the king by the qualities needed in a monarch. It was sort of like trying to get that accurate measurement of where the sink cutout went in an 11-foot countertop. Samuel tried to gauge the merit of the sons, some of whom were tall and good-looking. He tried to gauge them by their outward appearance. But God quickly quashed that by telling Samuel that the eldest 7 were not God's choice. And after rejecting the eldest son, God said to Samuel, "Do not look on his appearance or the height of his stature, because I have rejected him. For the Lord does not see as mortals see. They look at the outward appearance, but God looks on the heart." And as we know, the youngest son, David, it's the youngest son, David, who God wants for king. Essentially, Samuel was told to trust God to do the measuring. Much like I trusted Buddy to measure that countertop, you know? And then when Buddy had his doubts, I had my doubts. But essentially, Samuel was told to trust God to do the measuring. And it makes me think, I couldn't help but think of this. I'm thinking of the prophet Isaiah's words in God describing his suffering servant, whom we as Christians interpret to be Jesus. And this is what Isaiah says about this suffering servant. He had no form or majesty that we should look at him. Nothing in his appearance that we should desire him. And yet God chose his suffering servant to be the Messiah. Looking at the heart is not something that a yardstick, a level, or a tape measure can do for us. But you know, there are some unobtrusive measures that we can use if we want to do a little research of ourselves. And most of us, most of the time, would rather not do that, truth be told. So here are some examples of personal self-assessment. What kind of movies or TV shows do I watch? How much exercise did I get today or this week? How would I describe my reading habits? How do I take care of my spiritual self? How many times did I say thank you today? What would I do? Would I do something unethical if no one was looking? How many people do I irritate on a regular basis? I thought that was a pretty good one. How many people do I irritate on a regular basis? And finally, did I offer someone a word of encouragement today? You know, after Samuel wasted a lot of time interviewing king candidates using external measurements, God stepped in and called a halt to the evaluation process. As noted before, God said this to Samuel, "Do not look on his appearance or on the height of his stature, because I rejected him. For the Lord does not see as mortals see. They look on the outward appearance, but the Lord looks on the heart. The key to self-assessment, then, is to endeavor to see as God sees. Honesty isn't something that's easy for us when it comes to personal growth and self-evaluation. Yet it's critical for our growth spiritually, then, our growth spiritually and relationally. That is, in terms of getting along with God and getting along with others. If we just age through life, you know what I mean. We just coast along, aging through life, without ever consciously taking inventory of who we are, then we're missing opportunities to become better people and more Christ-like in our behavior. We're just coasting along and getting older day by day, never self-evaluating and taking a close look at ourselves, because sometimes that's painful. We lose opportunities to become better people and more Christ-like. But self-knowledge isn't something that we seek just to berate ourselves, but to get a better understanding of what makes us tick and how we can improve. The data that we gather about ourselves can, if we look at it without defensiveness or rationalization. If we can look at that data, I'll say it again, if we can look at that data we collect about ourselves without defensiveness, bristling up, or rationalization, well, the devil made me do it. If we can do that, it'll help us to understand why certain things go wrong in our relationships and in our lives, and point us in the direction of positive change. You know, by the trail that we leave behind us, we can get some clues about how we're doing in terms of tenderness, affection, kindness, character, and love. And maybe, just maybe, we can grow from what we discover. And perhaps, as with David, we will feel anointed and appointed in doing it. Perhaps like David, the Spirit of the Lord will come mightily upon us from this day forward. May it be so for us on this Father's Day and for the rest of our lives. May the Spirit of the Lord come upon us mightily. I hope I don't have to do any more measuring for a while. Although I know of one project waiting yet for me over at the house that's going to require some measuring. May we be honest in our own self-assessment. May we be brave enough to do self-assessment to begin with. And then may we be honest enough with ourselves to grow from that assessment into the people that God desires us to be. Amen.